In 1943, the Macmillan Company published a book about one county in Georgia. A sociologist wrote it. The photographs came from the United States government. This woman is plate 17. The title page credits the pictures plainly. FSA photographs by Jack Delano. The FSA was the Farm Security Administration, the New Deal's farm rescue agency, and this book was its report card. The end papers carry a hand-drawn map of Greene County. Every church, every school, every dwelling, a little ink square. This is the story of how a whole county ended up inside a book. 3 government photographers shot more than 1,600 frames here between 1937 and 1941. What you'll see is their work in color. But the colors are a machine's estimate, not a record. Every original is black and white and free to see at the Library of Congress. Where a dress or a sign or a field reads a little too bright, trust the shape, not the shade. The captions are the photographer's own words written in the field. In 1940, the Farm Security Administration typed up its own account of the place. The story of one southern county. It reads like an autopsy report. Page 2 has the numbers. 20,030 bales of cotton in 1919. Then the boll weevil. 3 years later, 333 bales. One bank in the Grayland section survived. By the government's own accounting, half the land in the county had been abandoned by 1930. 16,000 acres had been sold for taxes. For a short period, wild rabbits flourished on the empty fields. One year, Greene County exported more rabbits than any county in the United States. In July 1937, Dorothea Lange drove through. She had just photographed the Dust Bowl. What she found here was quieter and older. Her caption, "Standing chimneys are a common sight in Greene County. They often stand in gullied fields indicating where a plantation house once stood." Decaying antebellum plantation. Ex-slave and wife who live in a decaying plantation house. Lange did not record their names. They had outlived the world that enslaved them, and were now outliving the one that replaced it. The cotton sharecropper's unit is one mule and the land he can cultivate with a one-horse plow. There were exceptions, and she photographed them too. The home of a black landowner. Her caption notes he had owned his land since 1913 and raised 10 children on it. And on the veranda of the Ray Plantation's big house, her caption says, "Southern lady of the old school. 2 Greene counties a few miles apart." 2 years later, the government sent Marion Post Wolcott to photograph the bottom. The William Armour place, 3,000 or 4,000 acres. A black family was living in it now, her caption notes, paying 1 bale of cotton a year in rent for a house that once ran a plantation. Eroded land. The gullies were deep enough to swallow a wagon. This is what 60 years of cotton did to the Piedmont. A family graveyard, fenced in the middle of an empty field. The farm that surrounded it was gone. A black tenant farmer carrying home a sack of flour, which her caption records he called heaven dust. On a tree along the highway, one sign asked, "Dost thou believe on the Son of God?" The sign nailed under it sold fertilizer. But Wolcott also photographed something new. Her caption, "FSA supervisor inspecting rehabilitation borrower's mule." In 1938, Washington had picked Greene County for something that had never been tried. Every farm agency of the federal government, working one county at a time, together. They called it the Unified Farm Program. Loans for mules and seed and fences, nurses visiting every family, 240 wells improved, 225 houses screened against mosquitoes in 18 months. Malaria was still a constant threat here in 1939. In May 1941, the government's photographer arrived to stay. Jack Delano was 26, a Jewish immigrant born in Ukraine, 9 years old when his family reached America. The sociologist Arthur Raper was writing his second book on Greene County, and Washington sent Delano to picture it. This is Mr. Henry Brooks of Parks Ferry Road. Delano's caption is 2 words long: ex-slave. Hands of Mr. Henry Brooks, ex-slave. The book printed this frame full page. Its caption there: the hands of an ex-slave in Linger Longer area. Grandma Lawrence had lived on Mercer Reynolds' plantation for many years. And Delano photographed paper, an early deed to some land bought in Greene County, the wax seal still on it. In this county, the distance between a deed and a life was never far. That May, Delano photographed 2 funerals. The first was for a member of the Boswells, one of the county's old families. The second funeral was for the warden of the county convict camp killed in an automobile accident. Men who came to bury him were his prisoners. Delano's caption: convicts from the Greene County prison camp at the funeral of their warden. They stood at the graveside in their stripes, guarded, bareheaded in the Georgia sun. No one in the pictures explains what they felt. The camera just stays. The same month in Siloam, population a few hundred, the schools put on a May Day pageant. Farm children in homemade wings on a pasture stage. A year of debt, quotas, and gullied fields, and one afternoon of angel. And that same May, something happened that doesn't fit the postcard. The workers at the textile mill in Greensboro walked out. Delano photographed the picket line. The signs read, "Unionism is Americanism." And the U.S. Gov is behind us 100%. In 1941, in a deep South mill town, they believed it. His caption: CIO pickets jeering at few workers who were entering a mill. CIO pickets outside a mill in Greensboro pose for their picture. When Delano came back in the fall, he photographed the same mill from the inside, the Mary Layla Cotton Mill, Greensboro. And in November, he photographed the union meeting, indoors now, orderly with officers at the table. The strike had become an institution. Saturday afternoon was the county's one appointment, going to town on Saturday afternoon. Black farmers shopping on Saturday afternoon in Leibowitz's store, Greensboro. And after dark, the new movie house in Greensboro, neon in a county that had exported rabbits 10 years before. Delano also photographed the machinery of the experiment itself, the county courthouse crowd, Mr. Lloyd Lewis, the county ordinary, the staff of the Greene County Health Department, nurses the program paid for, a cooperative prenatal clinic near Woodville. By the program's plan, every expectant mother was visited once a month for 6 months, twice a month after that. At a church near Woodville, a meeting of black FSA borrowers. The government held its office hours in the pews. Baby chicks delivered by rail to the Greensboro depot, the caption says, in connection with the FSA Food for Defense program. Machines cut terraces across the gullied fields. The first serious attempt to stop the land itself from leaving. And near Siloam, a new school building going up. St. Paul's, for black children, replacing a one-room church school. Delano followed one student all fall. His name was Boyd Jones. Boyd Jones helping his teacher at the Alexander Community School, one of the county's black schools. Saturday. Boyd Jones driving into Greensboro. Boyd Jones and one of his friends coming back with their dogs from a trip into the woods. And on his father's farm on a mule in November. When Raper's book came out, Boyd was in it. The whole second half of the picture section follows his world. The schools Boyd's county offered were 2 systems wearing one name. a singing class in a black school in Siloam. The program's answer was small and practical. Hot lunches at the Woodville Public School, 5 cents a plate. And in June, the outdoor graduation of Union Point High School, the whole town on benches in the dark. I want the schools to teach our people how to live better here, the superintendent Floyd T. Corey says in the book. Delano photographed him at his desk. The county had one more institution, and Delano did not look away from it. At the convict camp in Greene County, Georgia. Barred windows in a wooden barrack. Supper in stripes at long tables. One frame the book printed with a caption of its own. A convict dances for a dime. The book printed the camp between the midwife and the landowner. That was the point of the book. All of it was the same county. October. Bringing a wagon load of cotton into the gin. The cotton hadn't died. It had shrunk to something a county could survive. The Greene County Fair came to Greensboro with a monkey circus and a Ferris wheel. Delano's caption records how admission worked, in the language of 1941, quoted as he wrote it. White school children were admitted free one day, Negro school children the next. What the program measured itself by wasn't the fair, it was pantries. Canned goods put up by a black FSA family. Near White Plains, Delano photographed a family with, the caption counts it, the 1,000 cans of fruit, vegetables, etc. They have canned for the winter. Mrs. Buck Grant, FSA client with her canned goods near Woodville. Before the program, the government survey put the average borrower family's homegrown food at $93 a year. After, $200. The program reached the old people last and mattered to them most. Mr. and Mrs. Wilkes, FSA clients near Union Point. An old couple photographed beside their bed, their clock, their papered wall. A pension check was the first cash some of these households had ever counted on. Delano kept returning to one farm near Woodville, a widow, running a rented farm with her 2 children. He never recorded her name. And then he knelt and photographed her feet. His caption, the feet of a farm woman who, with 2 children, runs a rented farm. Stockings worn through at the ankle on swept earth. The book ran her portrait full page as plate 17. Farm tenant mother near Woodville. Beside her picture, the book printed a poem. It was written by a different Greene County woman, Louisiana Dunn Thomas of Siloam, a tenant farm mother of 13 children, a 5th grade education, and a notebook. Uncle Sam is my shepherd, and I shall not want. He helped me to care for my children and raise all my food if I don't. Raper printed it by her permission and took his title from her closing lines. If Delano ever photographed her, no caption says so. In November 1941, Delano photographed Parks Ferry, still crossing the Oconee on its cable as it had for a century, and the railroad, running straight out of the county toward everything that was about to happen. Weeks later, Pearl Harbor. The war took the program's money, its staff, and its tenants to the Army and to the defense plants in Atlanta. The Unified Farm Program never got its second decade. The book came out in 1943 and told the truth anyway. The government's own survey said borrower families had nearly doubled their net income, from $131 a year to $246. Numbers that small and worth a book that big. 1,600 negatives went into the file in Washington. A county that was dying got photographed more completely than any place in Georgia, because for 4 years, somebody in the government believed it could be saved. Every photograph in this film is in the FSA OE collection at the Library of Congress, free, at full resolution, in the original black and white. The colors here are machine estimates. The faces are real. If your people were in Greene County, then some of these faces may be yours.